Lately, there's been a lot of talk about gig apps making money right out of your personal car, making $2,500 each and every week right out of your car. And this is absolutely possible. I can speak to this personally. I built a medical courier business and scaled it up to over six figures. So it's absolutely legit. But I looked through YouTube right here on this platform. I've looked on other social media outlets. The one thing that I didn't see, that I couldn't find, is content centered around the pitfalls that you'll come across, right? The difficulties that you'll have, right? So this is going to be a transparency video. I've got about 6 or 7 things that you'll come across when you're trying to do this. And again, I think this is an absolutely good side hustle, but I want to expose some of the things that you'll come across, and I don't want to leave you hanging. So I'm going to give you kind of some ways that you can overcome some of these obstacles. So if you're watching this video, maybe you've tried this side hustle, maybe you've tried these gig apps, maybe you've tried to be a medical courier and you've given up because you've come across one of these pitfalls. So I'm going to help you out. I'm going to bring you back in. But first, I'm Alton Arell, your favorite side hustle guy. Look, follow the channel. Take a second. Doesn't take any energy. Doesn't cost you anything. Smash that subscribe button. Turn on the notifications so you can be notified when I go live in the future. But I want to get into this video. Like I said, I think that this video is important because, again, you see a lot of content, and I'm guilty of this too, right? I've done a lot of content and I kind of tell the successes. I've told kind of the upside, how much money you can make, which is great, right? It's great. But there are some things that you'll come across. There's some things that you'll come across, and it's not that they can't be overcome, but I want to expose those things, right? So I want to get into them. And, in my program, I've helped, over 3,000 people become medical couriers specifically. So I kind of understand, I get these pitfalls. So I took some of the major ones that you'll come across, and I just kind of want to talk about them. The first one that I get a lot is when you're trying to get, say, your first contract, or maybe it's your second contract. Maybe you can't meet your income goals, right? Maybe you want to make a little bit more. You're making $300 a week, but you want to get that up to $500 a week, right? So you're applying to all these different companies. You're not hearing back. That's the biggest thing I hear. They say, Alton, look, I've applied to a whole bunch of companies. I'm not hearing back. What I would say to this is have a follow-up system built in, right? Have a follow-up system built in. So when you apply to these different companies, maybe jot it down, maybe keep a spreadsheet and say, hey, look, I applied to this company on Monday, this one on Tuesday, this one Wednesday. Give them 24 hours, maybe give them 48 hours, but just give them a little bit of time and follow up. And you follow up by calling, follow up by emailing, follow up by going up there. I mean, some of these companies will be close to you. They might be right in your local area. You might look up the address and see that, man, that's right up the street. Go up, stop in. I can't tell you how much business I've got. And that's just not even just a medical courier thing. This is just business 101. Follow up, have a follow-up system in place. All right. So that would be the first one that I get. The second one is, what about wear and tear on your car? This is a serious consideration. You really want to be careful, right? Because your vehicle, hopefully you're using this for other things, or maybe you're using it for other things, but you don't want to run that car into the ground, right? Yes, you're making money to get it. You're using the car to make money, but you don't want to run that car in the ground. So you got to do preventative maintenance. Make sure you're checking those tires, make sure you're changing the oil, and also just kind of see if the money's good money. All money's not good money, right? If you're running around 300 miles a day to make $64, you have to assess, is it really worth it? Is it really worth the money, right? And this kind of brings up something too. I didn't necessarily jot this one down, but deadhead miles, right? What are deadhead miles? Deadhead miles are, I'll kind of give an example. So let's just say you get with a contract, they say, okay, Jennifer, we got something for you, and it's going from point A to point B, right? Well, point B is 100 miles away from your house, right? So it's going from point A and you end up at point B. It's 100 miles away from your house. Well, when you get all the way out there, you still got to get home. They're not going to pay you for miles that you drive coming home, right? So that's what we call deadhead miles in this game, right? So you want to minimize that. So you can see that you have to treat this like it's your personal business. I mean, I don't care if you're doing Uber or DoorDash, Lyft. It's all the same. So you definitely want to treat this like a business. So you want to make sure, hey, maybe that dispatcher can get you something coming back, right? And if not, then you need to be paid accordingly. Okay, you need to be paid accordingly. A lot of you don't know, you can, with some of these apps and these companies, you can negotiate these rates. You can negotiate them. So I just want to throw that in there so that you're aware of that, because a lot of newbies come in the game and then they see these routes and they say, man, it's not a bad route. It's paying me X amount. But yeah, you got a lot of deadhead miles. So you want to try to minimize those or be compensated fairly to adjust for that. Okay. I'll kind of get into the next one. I want to get through these. The next one is taxes. You need to give special consideration to taxes. Okay. So when you do this, you're going to be an independent contractor. You're an independent contractor. What does that mean? At the end of the year, you're going to get a 1099. You get a 1099. This is not a W-2 situation where Uncle Sam takes out taxes while you're getting paid. And then at the end of the year, you file a tax return, you end up getting some of that back. It's not that sort of deal. It's a 1099 situation. So that means when you make, that $80,000 a year, and if this is something you want to do, I hope that you do see those numbers, or you make six figures or whatever it is, or 800 a week. These companies pay you 800 a week. There are no taxes taken out. So because there's no taxes being taken out, that doesn't mean you're not obligated to pay. So at the end of the year, you have to settle up. And I've seen it time and time again where people will come in, they'll have some success, but at the end of the year, they say, man, why didn't you tell me, right? So 1099 income you pay about 15% taxes, right? That's assuming no write-offs. That's before write-offs or anything like that. I don't claim to be a tax professional, but you're going to pay close to 15%, right? So you got to account for that. You have to either save knowing that that's coming or do some things to open up the tax code to you. Again, I'm not a tax professional, but one of the things you can do is you can do this under a business. There's nothing that says you can't do this under a business, right? So you could do this under a business name. You can get an LLC, you can get an incorporation, you have a limited partnership, whatever business entity works for you. Again, I'm not a tax professional. I'm not going to get into that, but that's one way that you can avoid some of the taxation, right? Because under a business, what happens is the tax code is wide open. So you'll be able to write things off like your mileage. You'll be able to write off wear and tear. You'll be able to write off business expenses, direct business expenses like lunches and things like that. So that might be one consideration you might have is, do I want to do this under a business as opposed to just doing this in my personal name and my personal social? Because again, when you apply to these companies, they don't care. They could care less whether you do this under your business name or a personal name. In fact, a lot of these companies would prefer that it be a business, because some of the contracts, the bigger contracts that you'll want to get, they'll only give to another business. So maybe give that some consideration. Okay. And the last thing I'll talk about that I come across is kind of the income piece. So you come into this and you have your income goals, of course, right? You've got your income goals. You say, hey, I want to do this. I want to make $500 a week. I want to make $1,500 a week, right? So one of the hurdles is, how do I sort of maximize my potential to earn income? And I'll tell you the way you do that is you have to be set up with as many of these companies as possible. Typically, one company is not going to be enough to help you attain your income goals, unless your income goals are relatively low. If you just want to make $200-300 a week, that would be relatively easy to accomplish with one company. But if you have higher goals and higher aspirations, which a lot of people that I speak to do, you want to make, up at 800, 1,000, 1,500 a week. It's going to take multiple contracts to achieve that. So one of the hurdles is like, where do I go to get these contracts, right? So there's tons of companies out there. Of course, you might have heard the CB Drivers of the world, the dropoff.coms, the lab logistics. There's tons of them out there. But you need to get variety in the companies that you're set up with. And what I'll do is I'll put a link in the bio. It'll be a free resource. I'll give you a list of 75 apps and websites. 75 apps and websites. These are companies that I've kind of accumulated over the past 3-4 years. I'll put that link in the description to help you out. Hopefully that'll help you overcome that obstacle. But that's all I've got. I just wanted to, like I said, I think this type of video was long overdue. You don't see these types of videos. You just hear us. I'll say us because I've been guilty of it too. But we'll talk about the good, right? That naturally we want to do that. But I wanted to dedicate a video that talked about some of the hurdles, the obstacles that you'll come into So hopefully I did a good job of helping you kind of get around those when you see them. But like this video, comment, tell me what you think. If you need additional content, let me know, and I'll see you in the next video.